All right, why don't you ask the question again, okay?
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, you just, I'll ask it one more time. Once you noticed that something was awry, can you describe the steps that you took to investigate further? Again.
I looked at the bank statement online.
Okay, you know what, just what you, not what you saw, just what you did, okay?
What I did.
So you looked at it online, then we're gonna go on to the next step.
And then what did you do?
The next step, when I had looked at it online, I realized the value.
Not what you realized, just what you did. Okay, you looked at it online, what was the next step you took?
I logged into the entities that would be doing the corresponding withdrawals or deposits into that account.
And what did you do next?
I looked at them and realized.
Objection.
Okay, that's sustained. Not what you realized, just that you looked at them.
Let's move forward. Did you go to that office at 388 Dickinson Street that day?
Yes.
And what did you do when you arrived at the office?
I logged into MoneyGram and looked at the withdrawals that MoneyGram was making.
And what did you do next in your investigation?
I did the same for Paymatic to see the withdrawals they were making.
And then what did you do?
I looked at the withdrawals they were making versus the bank statement, and they didn't correspond.
Objection.
No, that's overruled. That's okay.
What was the last thing you said? I'm sorry.
I looked at the withdrawals that they were making versus the bank statement deposits, and they didn't correspond.
And what did you do next when you found out they didn't correspond? During that day in your investigation?
At that time, Ms. Pham was trying to speak with me in the back, and I said that the account looked like it was upside down, $7,000.
And then what happened?
Pham looked at me and said, "That looks like the Friday money."
And what did you believe that to mean?
That I was missing a deposit from Friday,
And what was the amount you said?
$7,016.
And after this conversation, what happened next?
DM said, "I need to talk to you," and handed me an envelope.
And what was in that envelope? Did you open the envelope?
Yes.
And what was inside of it?
A letter of resignation.
I approach Your Honor.
Yes.
So, Attorney, I'm going to hand you a document. Actually, it's two documents stapled together. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that top document?
This is the letter that was within the envelope.
That
DM's resignation letter.
And can you read the date on? Strike that. Is it dated?
Yes.
And what is the date on that letter?
September 16th, 2014.
And that was the date that you received it?
Yes.
At this point, Your Honor, I move to admit the resignation letter as Commonwealth Exhibit 2.
No objection.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Is there a second page, you said?
Oh, excuse me, Your Honor. I will just admit the first page. The second page is the envelope.
Okay.
Now, so let's turn. Going back a little bit. How long had Ms. Pham worked for you in the position of office manager at Accident Insurance?
As the manager of that office, about 6 to 7 months. And she had been with me longer than that, but she was in that office for about that time length.
And how long had she been with you?
Approximately a year.
And you say she was the office manager?
Yes.
So, did you trust her?
Yes.
And you trust her to handle, did she handle money?
Yes.
Did she have other tasks involved in money?
Involved in the money. She, on Mondays, would take the deposits to the bank.
And that occurred regularly?
Yes. And she may take the deposits to the bank during the course of the week as well.
And where did those deposits come from?
The deposits were the monies that we received from the insureds that were converted into money orders, and then in the envelope, which would then go to the bank.
Were the deposits to the bank cash?
Yes.
And where was that cash located before it was brought to the bank?
And it's safe.
I got that one moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
So, General, as you had received, strike that. How long did Ms. Pham work for Accident Insurance after she had passed in her resignation letter?
She indicated she wanted to work 2 weeks, but she worked until, I believe, Friday morning, like 3.5 days.
And just to be clear, Ms. Pham had a set of keys to the office and to the safe, you testified?
Yes.
And when she left, what happened to those keys?
They were turned in.
Now, final couple questions, Your Honor. You had access to this safe at the office, correct?
Yes. Myself?
Yes.
Yes.
And between September 12th and September 16th, did you ever take any money out of the safe?
No, I did not.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I've got two questions about the operation at Accident, if I'm right. You have a key,
Yes.
and is it the same key that you used back in September 14th, or have you since rekeyed?
It's been rekeyed.
All right. And so then let's talk about what the key situation was and the lock situation was back in September of 2014, if that's okay.
Mhm.
So in September of 2014, you of course had a key, correct?
Yes.
And it's the same key that you use to open the side door that also opens the safe, is that correct?
Yes.
And there's no combination on the safe.
No.
There's no second lock on the safe.
No.
One key gets you both into the building and then would get you into the safe if you wanted to, correct?
Yes.
And was there some kind of a punch key as well, either inside or outside the door that sometimes employees would punch into?
An alarm system, yes.
Yeah. And everybody had the same code number, correct? What, did it require, excuse me, did the alarm system require a code entry on a keypad to either set
Yes.
it off? Right. And each employee didn't have a separate set of code numbers to put into the alarm system. It was all the same, correct?
No.
Okay. Would you have your own personal code?
Yeah.
And who else knew the code?
My code?
Okay. Anybody else know the code?
My code.
Okay, excuse me. Everybody had their own code that could turn off the turn on or turn off an alarm system, correct? How would you turn on and turn off the alarm system? Let me ask you that question.
Enter 4 digits into a pin pad and hit enter or
Okay.
disarm.
Was there only one 4-digit sequence that turned on or turned off the alarm code, or was it several different ones?
Several.
And if there were several different codes that you would put into the alarm system,
Mhm.
the alarm system could then accept a variety of different codes to put in and either activate or turn off the alarm system, correct? Okay. A variety of different codes would work, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
2.
Now, let's go back to the key situation with the safe. Okay. How many employees back in September 2014 did Axiom have?
15, maybe?
15 employees. And you testified that you had a key to the side door in the safe, correct?
Mhm.
And Dion Farm had a key to the
Yes.
side door in the safe, correct?
Yes.
Michael, who's here to testify today, he had a key to the side door in the safe, correct?
Yes.
Andrea, who's here today, Andrea Vodish, had a key to the side door in the safe,
Yep.
correct?
Yes.
And then, is it Miss Rossi that's here today?
Yes.
She had a key to the side door in the safe, correct?
Yes.
And other employees also had keys to the side door in the safe, correct?
Not at those days, no.
Okay. But there were some other employees that did.
No.
Are you familiar with the term floater key?
There were 6 keys, yes.
Yeah, there were 6 keys. And one of those 6 keys, one of those 6 keys was a floater key, correct? That would be handed around from person to person as they needed, correct?
Object, Your Honor.
Overruled.
There were 6 keys. The only keys that were issued were those 5 right there and another one that I had in my office.
Okay. Where was that one kept in your office?
It was actually in my key ring.
Okay. So, was there a key that was ever placed in a desk drawer anywhere? Either on a key ring or not on a key ring?
There were 6 keys.
Okay.
I had control of all 6. I knew who had 5 and an extra. Myself.
Okay, where was the extra key?
It was with me. I had
So
2.
you had 2 keys?
Yeah.
Okay. You would keep 2 keys to the same place on the same key ring?
I have 2 cars. I have 2 keys. 2 key rings. I don't.
But so 2 separate key rings. Was there ever a key that was available to anyone who did maintenance work or custodian work in the office?
Only if it was taken from someone else to give to that person to get into the
And
office.
occasionally that would happen, correct?
Yes.
So there were 6 keys that you know of,
Mhm.
correct?
Mhm.
At least 6 keys.
Only 6.
Well, you know of 6 keys, correct?
No, there can only be 6.
Well, there could only be 6.
Yes.
Because, as you said, it was a key that only a special locksmith could make, correct?
Yes.
As far as you know. Are you a locksmith?
No.
Do you think perhaps that keys can be copied?
Not these.
Oh,
no.
never. Copies?
No.
Never.
No, not these.
In any event, there were 6 keys, and those 6 keys opened both the safe and the side door that all the employees used, correct?
Yes.
And when you go back to September 12th and 13th, and that weekend back in 2014, there were a number of employees that worked on that Friday, correct?
Yes.
And more than one person handled cash that Friday, correct?
During the course of the day, I
Yeah. About how many people handled cash in the course of that day?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
4,
If he knows.
5.
I think 4 or 5 in all probability. And then on that Saturday, there were a number of employees that worked, correct? Including Michael, who's outside, correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
And in addition to Michael, who else worked at that location on that Saturday?
I don't have the notes in front of me right now. 2 other people.
So that in all probability, 3 people worked that Saturday,
Yes.
correct? And in all probability, all 3 of those people handled cash on that Saturday?
Probably.
And Deanna didn't work that day, correct? That Saturday?
No.
And it was a scheduled day off.
Yes.
So it's your testimony, and you didn't work, you weren't there, correct?
No.
So you didn't see what happened or what didn't happen, of course, in the office on that Saturday, correct?
No.
So you actually have no direct, first-hand knowledge about anything that happened, including the collection of cash on that Saturday, correct? No first-hand,
Firsthand.
correct?
I'm going to check to ask and answer, Your Honor. I believe he's testified that he wasn't there.
Overruled.
So, witness it myself?
Yes,
No.
no, you didn't see anything on Saturday because you weren't there, correct? And you have to rely on what other people tell you, correct? About that Saturday, correct. Now, you had a key to the safe, correct?
Yes.
Michael had a key to the safe.
Yes.
Andy and Vodish had a key to the safe.
Yes, I mean, these questions are you just listing? I want to make sure
You
I'm
have to
answering.
answer yes or no, sir, that's the rule.
Okay, I didn't know if you were just listing them. Okay, yes.
Yes. Ms. Rossi had a safe,
Yes.
and DM Farm had a key, excuse me.
Yes.
And DM Farm had a key.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Now, when you go into the safe, or at least back in September 2014, there's no way of telling, either mechanical, records, or otherwise, about who actually opens the safe or not, correct?
No.
Just open the key, do it, go back in, no records, correct? Anybody with a key can do it, correct?
Of the 6 keys, of which I had 2, yes.
Yes. Okay. So you could have done it too, correct?
I could have, yes.
Anybody could have done it who had a key, correct?
I can't answer that, I don't know.
Okay. Now, you said that DM had worked there for a total of about 2 years, correct?
I
Year
don't
and
know
a
the
half, 2
exact
years.
dates.
But she'd been the office manager for 6 or 7 months, you said?
Yes.
Okay. And she'd been a good employee all along, no problems, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as a matter of fact, you sent her to advanced training course, isn't that correct?
Licensing, insurance training, yes. You have to
Right.
know how to do insurance, yes.
Right, and that was a way to invest an employee, correct, for you?
To have competent staff, yes.
Yeah, and you wanted to help her better herself, know the business better, do all the good things that a good employer should do with a good employee, correct?
Yes, you have to train your staff.
Right, and that, of course, costs you some money, didn't it?
There's costs associated with it, yes.
Right, and you paid for her to attend the course, correct?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Anything further, Attorney Garrity?
Yes, just briefly, Your Honor. Mr. Attorney, you testified that there was a security system at the office,
Yes.
and was that in place on September 12th, 2014?
Yes.
And at that time, was the security system functioning properly?
Yes.
Objection.
Overruled.
And if, what would happen if there was a breach of that system at that time?
If you were to somehow have access to the building and you did not disarm the alarm system, it would emit a really high-pitched noise and then wait a certain amount of seconds, and then the phone would ring and you have to give a passcode. And if you didn't have the passcode or neglected to answer the phone, the police would be dispatched. And the people on the alarm roster for the alarm company, myself, would get a phone call from the alarm company saying there's been an alarm at your office.
And you would receive that phone call?
Yes.
Now, between the evening, say 5 p.m. of September 12th, 2014, and Monday, say 9 a.m., September 15th, 2014, did you receive any such call?
No.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anything further?
No,
All right, thank you, sir. You can step down. Attorney Garrity, your next witness, please.
Yes. The Commonwealth will call Michael Gignac. Michael Gignac.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you will give the court and the jury in the cause now in hearing will be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go to your left, sir. Keep your voice up. The microphone records, but it doesn't amplify.
Good morning, Mr. Gignac. Can you please state your full name, spelling your last name for the court?
Michael Gignac, spelled Gignac.
And Mr. Gignac, where are you currently employed?
Axiom Insurance,
And where is that located?
251 Boston Road, Springfield.
And how long have you been employed by Axiom Insurance?
It'll be 8 years in February.
And what is your current position?
I am the commercial lines manager.
And how long have you been in that position?
About a year now.
Okay. Prior to that, what was your position at the?
I was a personal lines manager.
And how long did you hold that position?
Well, almost 7 years, I guess.
Now, I'd like to direct your attention to September 13, 2014, which was a Saturday. At that time, what was your position at Axiom Insurance?
I was still a personal lines manager.
And did you work that day?
Yes, I did.
And what was the branch location that you worked at down that day?
It was 388 Dickinson Street in Springfield.
And at that time, what did your duties include as the personal lines manager?
Basically, agency management,
Thank you.
management of employees, and operations.
Now, specifically on the 13th of September 2014, but what time did you arrive at the office?
Right around 8:30.
And were you the first one there?
Yes, I was.
And was the door locked?
Yes,
And how did you enter the agency?
with a key.
Bless you, thank you.
Now, can you describe the, strike that, were there customers coming in that day to the agency?
Yes.
And what were those customers coming in to do?
Make payments, get their policies rewritten.
Now, on that day, can you describe the process that the employees would make payments, how they would make the payments?
Sure, the insureds would come in either with cash or check. Check would go directly to the carrier. If they came in with cash, it would be converted into money orders to send to the carriers.
And what did you do with that cash on that day?
At the end of the day, we cash out. Everything has to match up from the money orders. And then the cash goes into a bag with a deposit ticket, and it goes in the safe in the back.
Now, whose responsibility was it to count the money and I guess, reconcile?
That was mine.
And did you do that?
Yes, I did.
And did you notice anything off on that day's count?
No.
Now, what did you do after you reconciled with the cash? What did you do with the cash?
It goes into a deposit bag and put in the safe.
And did you personally put it in the safe?
Yes, I did.
And when you opened the safe, was there anything else inside the safe at that time?
Yes, one more deposit bag.
And was that deposit bag labeled that you remember?
Not labeled on the outside, but the ticket would tell the date.
And did you have the chance to look inside that deposit bag?
Yes, I did.
And what did you see when you looked inside that deposit bag?
Just cash and a deposit ticket.
Now, how long did you work on that Saturday at the office?
Till noon. We closed at noon.
And when you closed at noon, was the safe locked?
Yes.
And what was in the safe at that time?
At noon or when I left. I mean, it took a while to cash out.
So, strike that. After you cashed out, did you close the safe?
Yes.
And at that time, what time was that?
Probably 20 after 12.
And at that time, when you closed the safe, what was located inside the safe?
One deposit bag from the prior day and the deposit bag I just prepared.
When you left the office, did you lock the door?
Yes.
And did you set the alarm?
Yes.
Now, did you take any money from the office at 388 Dickinson Street, the Axiom Insurance Agency, on September 13, 2014?
No.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I've got a few questions for you. So on that Saturday, September 13th, how many people were working there?
3.
And who were the 3?
Myself, a gentleman named Russ, and Andrea Anderson was there part of the day.
Andrea Anderson.
Correct.
And somebody named Russ.
I don't remember his last
You
name.
don't remember his last name. So 3 and 4. During the course of the day, did all 3 of you at some point handle some cash?
I did and Russ did. Andrea did not.
Okay. And how do you know that Andrea did?
Because she was there just part of the day to catch up on some things, so Russ and I were handling.
So the 2 of you handle cash?
Yes, correct.
And at that time, let's talk about the key situation, if we can. Not today, but what it was back in September of 2014. In September of 2014, you had a key to the side door, correct?
Correct.
And that same key that opened the side door also opened the safe, correct?
Correct.
And the safe was located inside the building in some sort of storage area, is that correct?
It's in a closet.
In a closet. And about how big is the safe?
I'd say about this tall from here to there. Maybe
And how wide?
about that wide.
So perhaps 3 feet by 3 feet or a little smaller?
Not a little smaller than that.
Thank you. And there's no combination lock on the safe, correct?
Correct.
And there's no second lock on the safe, correct?
Correct.
Just the one key that opens the side door gets you into the safe, correct?
Correct.
Now, when you entered the building that day, you used the key to get in, correct?
Correct.
Did you leave it unlocked at that time?
No,
Okay, you locked it back up.
it locks during the day.
And we're talking the side door, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So when Russ got there, how did Russ get in?
He knocks on the door.
And you let him in?
And I let him in.
Russ didn't have a key?
No.
How about Andrea Anderson? How did she get in?
Knocked on the door.
Did she have a key?
No.
So you were the only one on that Saturday who was physically there who had a key, correct?
Correct.
And Dion Farm wasn't there that day, correct?
Correct.
And, but you weren't the only employee at that time who had a key, correct?
Correct.
That a number of other employees had keys?
Yes.
That at least Andrea Vodish had a key,
Yes.
and Miss Rossi had a key,
Yes.
and Lance had a key, correct?
Correct.
Are you familiar with the term floater key?
I could guess what it means, but there were no floater keys.
Object to any guess, Your Honor.
Okay. No, don't guess. If you don't know, you don't know.
Were you aware of any other keys to that building?
I believe there were 5 keys
And why is it that you believe there were 5 keys?
because I'm just counting. I had one. DM had one. Andrea Vodish had one. Amanda had one. And Lance had one.
And would you be surprised to learn if there was a 6th key?
I would be.
And are you familiar with somebody who did maintenance work at this building or custodial work?
Yes.
Okay. At some time, are you aware that a maintenance man had a key?
No.
You're not aware of that?
No.
Would it surprise you to learn that?
Yes.
But there'd been somebody else, you didn't, other than you or the regular staff, when maintenance work had to be done, would do the work, correct?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Okay. Obviously, in any building, maintenance work occasionally needs to be done, correct?
Correct.
And you wouldn't do that work, correct?
No.
And the regular employees wouldn't do that work, correct?
Correct.
That you bring in somebody, or Lance would bring in somebody from the outside probably to do the maintenance work, correct?
Correct.
Was there a cleaning service that you knew?
Yes.
And they'd obviously have to get in to clean the building, correct?
Yeah, they came in during business hours.
Only during business hours, as far as you know, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, do you remember talking to the police, the Springfield police, about this case?
Briefly.
Do you remember telling the Springfield police that when you look inside the safe, you didn't actually look inside the bank deposit bag. You only saw that the bag was inside the safe.
Correct.
But today you're telling us something different, is that correct?
No.
Okay. Well, I think if I, and please correct me if I'm wrong, about 10 or 15 minutes ago when you were testifying the direct examination, you said that you looked inside the bank deposit bag.
Correct, I had to.
And I'm talking about the bank deposit bag that was already inside the safe, not
Correct.
the one that you say you put in, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what is it you say you saw inside the bag?
It was cash and a
Okay.
deposit ticket.
You didn't count it.
No, sir.
And you know, you saw that there was a ticket in there, but you didn't think of anything of it, correct?
Correct.
Now, I'll ask you the question again. Do you remember speaking with the Springfield Police Department?
Yeah.
And do you remember telling the Springfield Police Department that you didn't check that bank deposit bag?
Not when I left, but when I came in, I had to go into it.
Okay. Do you remember telling the Springfield Police Department that you did not check the bank deposit bag, you only saw that there was a bag inside the safe? You didn't look inside the bag, is what I'm saying. Do you remember telling the Springfield Police
Not when I
Department?
left.
Okay. How many times did you go into the safe that day?
Twice.
Why did you go in twice?
Because when I came in that morning, there was supposed to be 2 cash boxes with $40 in each available for us to make change from. They were not available. I had to call Diem, and she told me they were in a particular desk. That desk was locked. Okay? So Diem suggested that I take $80 out of the bag from Friday's deposit, go get some ones from the bank next door, which I did. And that way we had $80 to work with to make change that day.
Did you ever tell anybody about this?
What?
About how you took some money out of the safe and went next door and got change?
When I talked to Lance on Monday,
You didn't tell the police that, did you?
I don't recall.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything further, Attorney Garrity?
Yes, Your Honor. Now, you just testified that you spoke to Ms. Pham that day?
Like that Saturday,
That
correct?
Saturday, correct, September 13th, 2014. And, strike that, Your Honor. Just to clarify, at one point during the day, you did look in the bank deposit bag from Friday, correct?
Correct.
And the reason you were doing that was to make change?
Correct.
And that was suggested to do to you by the defendant, Diem Pham?
Correct.
Nothing further.
Thank you.
Nothing.
Anything further? Thank you, sir. You can step down. Okay, Attorney Garrity?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the Commonwealth would call Amanda Rossi.
Please swear affirm the testimony you will give the court and the jury in the cause now in hearing will be the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
Voice up, the microphone records to it, but it doesn't amplify.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Ms. Rossi. Could you please state your name, full name, spelling your last name for the court?
Amanda Rossi, Rossi.
And Ms. Rossi, are you currently employed?
Yes,
And where are you employed?
at Axiom Insurance Agency.
And what is your position at Axiom Insurance
I am
Agency?
the operations manager.
And how long have you held that job title?
About 6 years.
And could you give the jury a brief overview of what your responsibilities entail?
Yes, I basically manage all of our offices. We have currently 5 different offices, so everybody reports to me, make sure day to day everything's running smoothly. make sure all the reports get done. Everyone kind of calls me if they have any questions day to day with just getting through normal, processes and payments and just anything that's going on.
Now, I'd like to direct your attention to Monday, September 15th of 2014, in the morning around 8:15 or 8:20. Did you have any contact with the defendant, Ms. Pham?
Yes, about just before 8:30, I got a phone call, and that phone call was basically telling me that our server was making a beeping noise.
Who was this phone call from?
It was from DM. And basically, that meant she was at the office. She called me, asked what to do about the noise in the server, which basically meant that either the power went out over the weekend or there was some sort of issue. So she had called me to let me know that, and at that time, I basically just, took all the information, and then I was able to, I was going to give her a call back and let her know what to do.
Now, do you know where she was when she made this call?
Yes, she would have been in the office, located at the X in Springfield. And I actually heard the beeping in the background, so I knew that she was physically there.
And do you know what the address is?
388 Dickinson Street in Springfield.
And you say there was an issue with some beeping noise?
Yeah.
Was that security related?
No, it just would mean that the server that has all of our data on it had some type of error. It could be a power issue or, something was going wrong with the server. And it beeps to let you know.
Now, during this conversation with Ms. Pham, what else did you talk about?
That was about it. It was just basically saying that there was an issue, asked if she should do anything with it. I basically told her just wait, let it get a hold of the person who does our server, and I'll get back to her and let her know whether to turn it off or touch it or anything like that.
Okay. Now, did you have any further contact with the defendant on that day?
Later in the day, I think I called her back. Actually, I called her back to tell her to turn the server off because the person who does our server told us to do that. Basically let her know what to do with that. And then I want to say later in the afternoon, we had spoke on the phone again about a client and just a problem going on and just kind of figuring out a solution together.
So you said you testified you just talked to her twice after the initial conversation?
Yeah.
What time was the first conversation?
Probably maybe like 9:15 or so. I had to wait for the person who did our server to get into work and give me a call back.
Okay. And about what time was the second phone call?
I'd say just after 1, something like that. It was in the afternoon.
So that would be actually the third time you talked to the defendant?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yep.
And what was that third phone conversation about?
It was something to do with a client. There was an issue with a payment and just kind of figuring out what the solution would be and just asking my advice on how to solve the issue.
Now, let me step back. If there's an issue with any of the branches, is the policy to contact you as the operations manager?
I would be the first one they would call. Yep, if it was something that they couldn't fix or it was kind of above something that they could do, I'm the first one getting a phone call.
Do you have any examples of things that people will call you on?
Yes, if they were cashing out and someone was missing money, if there was a client in the office that was causing them an issue, if there was a policy they didn't know how to write, sort of anything that they weren't trained on and couldn't solve themselves, it came right up to me.
And the only issue on the 15th, September 15th of 2014 that Ms. Pham spoke to you about was the server beeping?
Yes, that was it. Nothing about anything else during that conversation.
Now, the next day, which was Tuesday, September 16th of 2014, did you speak to Ms. Pham again that you can remember?
I don't think so. That basically first thing I spoke with Lance regarding money missing. So I wasn't in touch with anyone else until later.
Objection, motion to strike.
No, that's overruled.
So you found out on Tuesday, the 16th, that there may be some money missing?
Objection.
Overruled.
Yeah, Tuesday morning.
Did you know how much money?
Objection.
Just yes or no?
Yes,
How much?
Objection.
Overruled.
around $7,000.
Have one moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Just a couple of questions, this won't be terribly long. You said that you spoke with Jan Fram on Monday morning about a beeping issue,
Yes.
and when you spoke with her, you said that you could actually physically hear the beeping through the phone,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So that it was in fact beeping.
Yes.
And you said that the conversation was about what to do about getting the server working right and get the beeping stopped.
Yes. Yes.
And you said that one of the probabilities was that the power had probably gone out over the weekend at some point.
Something like that. Yes.
Right. So if the power goes out, it wouldn't be just the server that lost power; it would be the whole building, correct?
Yeah. It would be more likely we have a power pack that goes to it. It'd be more likely that was a failure on that, not the actual power of the whole building going out.
But it might have been just a regular power outage.
Sure.
That we all get power outages.
That's a possibility. Yes.
And you're familiar with the physical structure at that building, correct?
Yes.
Because you're there once in a while, correct?
Yes.
And you have a key to that building, correct?
Yes, I do.
And the key opens a side door, correct?
Yes.
And that same key that you have also opens the safe, correct?
Yes.
And other people have that same key that opens both the side door and the safe, correct?
Yes. There's only 6 of those keys.
Okay. You know of 6.
There
Correct.
are. I'm positive that there are only 6. They cannot be copied.
That you're 100% sure that nowhere else in the world there are no more than 6 keys.
Positive.
You're absolutely positive.
Yes.
Okay. That can't be physically possible any more than 6 keys.
I'm the only one that can request more keys being made.
From the key maker, correct?
The
Designated key maker.
It's the only person who can make the keys.
Physically impossible to make any other keys, correct?
No, I'm going to object. It's been asked and
It's
answered.
been asked and answered.
Okay. But in any event, you know of 6, correct?
I know there are 6.
You have one.
Yes.
Andrea Votish, who's here, had one
Yes.
at that time.
Yep.
Michael, who testified, has one.
Yep.
DM had one.
Yep.
And Lance has one, correct?
I think at that time Lance had 2 at that time.
And how often were you physically in that branch?
3 to 4 times a week.
And about how many different people worked in there?
At the time, probably 7.
At any of the times that you went there, was the side door left open, unlocked?
Yes, during the days of operation.
So you could walk in the side door?
Yes.
That's all. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, Attorney Garrity?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You can step down.
Thanks.
Attorney Garrity?
Thank you, Your Honor. The Commonwealth will call Andrea Votish. Andrea. Okay.
Do you swear from the testimony you'll give the court and the jury in the cause now in hearing will be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just want you to step here. Make yourself comfortable.
Sure.
Keep it close.
Good afternoon, Ms. Votish.
Hi.
Could you please state your full name, spelling your last name for the court?
Yep, Andrea Vodish, Voedisch.
And are you currently employed?
No,
And back in September of 2014, were you employed?
yes.
And where were you employed?
At Axiom Insurance Agency,
And at that point, how long had you been employed by the Axiom Insurance Agency?
say it was, I don't think it was quite a year yet at that point.
And what was your position at Axiom Insurance Agency at that point?
I was in the office to train other employees as well as provide support for DM.
Now, I'd like to draw your attention to September 12th, 2014, which was a Friday.
Okay.
Were you working at Axiom Insurance that day?
Yes,
And what location of Axiom Insurance were you working at?
the Dickinson Street location.
And do you know the exact address of that?
Yep, 388 Dickinson Street,
And that's in Springfield?
Springfield. Yes.
And on that day, what was your role, or what were you doing as far as work?
I was an insurance agent, so basically writing policies, collecting payments. At the end of the day, I would help DM kind of count everyone else's money out, and then we would get the deposit ready.
Okay. So, and when you say the money, where does that money come from?
The money comes from all the agents that work in the office, which is basically everybody except for our girl, Stacy, that works in the back doing filing.
Now, on that specific day, September 12th, 2014, you helped DM count the money at the end of the day?
Yes.
And did you notice anything off about the count at that time?
No, the deposit was accurate. We didn't leave until the deposit was accurate.
And do you know how much money the deposit would have been?
I believe it was roughly in the $7,000 range.
And did you see what happened to the money after it was counted?
Yes, it was put in the safe.
And who put it in the safe?
DM did.
And you saw her do that?
Yes.
And was the money, while it was in the safe, was it out loose, or was it in anything?
In a money bag.
Okay. Was that money bag labeled?
It was a bank bag. I honestly don't remember whether it was from a specific bank or not. We had multiple bank bags.
Okay. And at the end of that Friday, when was the next time you worked at the 388 Dickinson Street location?
On Monday.
Now, and that would be the 15th of September, 2014?
Yes.
And how did you get to work that day?
DM drove me
And why was that?
because I was having the brakes. The brakes to my vehicle were being fixed.
Now, had you made any prior plans with the defendant to pick you up?
Yes.
And what were those plans?
That she was going to pick me up the morning, Monday morning.
And did you have a set time?
I don't want to say there wasn't a set time. We have to go to work at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
So I would by 9 or a little bit before to get me in there on time.
Okay. Now, where was DM coming from to pick you up? Do you know?
She was coming from work at 388 Dickinson Street.
So you know that she was already there at the office at that?
I don't know that she was already at the office. I know that she was coming from there. Well, actually, she had sent me a text message letting me know that she was on her way.
Okay. From the office?
Yeah, from her phone, from the office, yes.
Okay. Oh, I'm just trying to get a sense of the direction of travel.
Okay.
And what time did she pick you up?
I believe it was about 9 o'clock, maybe a few minutes after.
Okay. And after she picked you up, did you guys make any stops?
No.
And did you have any conversations with the defendant?
DM was putting in her 2-week notice, something that I was aware of a month prior that she was looking for employment somewhere else. So she had basically just let me know that that day was the day that she was going to be putting in her 2-week notice.
And did you guys discuss any errands she may have run before she picked you up?
I know that she went to the bank to do the deposit.
She told you that?
Yes.
she say anything else in particular about that deposit?
Nope, she didn't mention anything.
Now, at the time you were working, did you have a key to the office in September 2014?
I did. There was about 6 people with, everybody had a key.
And did you have access to the safe where the deposits were kept?
Yes.
And at that time or at any time, have you ever taken money from that safe for your own personal use?
Oh, no.
Nothing further on.
Thank you.
May I inquire?
Yes,
So you had known for quite a while that DM was looking for another job, correct?
Yes, I knew about a month prior that she was looking for employment. I knew where she was looking at employment, as well as that she was interviewing.
And so, obviously she didn't tell other people at work, but she kind of confided in you.
Yes.
And she actually told you that the date that she was going to put in her resignation ahead of time, correct?
Yes.
Because she had found another job that she liked and she was going to accept their offer, correct?
Exactly.
And did you ever have any conversations with Lance Letourneau about the accusation against DM Farm?
Object, Your Honor.
whether she had a conversation or not, that's overruled.
Have you ever had a conversation with Lance about it?
Yes.
And what did Lance tell you about
Objection,
why
Your Honor.
she was being charged?
That is sustained.
Do
You can't answer that.
Okay, okay. And during the time that you worked at Axiom with DM, did DM seem to be a good employee as far as you know?
Yes.
No reason to suspect any problem?
Not at all.
And how would you describe the record keeping at Axiom at that time?
Object, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Can I
How
answer
would you-
that? Okay.
The record keeping.
That means you can answer.
Okay.
Sorry.
I would say it was not very well. What wasn't very good. I actually, when I initially started with Axiom, my job was to audit their bank statements, and their records were very much all over the place.
When you say all over the place, what do you mean by that?
There was often missing documents. We had multiple locations, and I would audit the daily deposit, and I would find documents missing that wouldn't add up to the reason why maybe a deposit was off, or if there was extra or additional money.
Did you ever take accounting in school?
No.
Are you familiar with the accounting rule about not having the same people handle money who take it in as make deposits?
Yes.
Was that rule followed at Axiom?
No.
Is that a basic rule of accounting and safety?
Objection, Your Honor.
That is sustained.
Now, you had a key to the side door, correct?
Yes.
And you say that you know of at least 6 keys to that same door, correct?
There were 6 keys amongst us. Six keys, including myself, would have been part of those 6 keys.
Are you familiar with the term floater key?
Yes.
Was there a floater key?
There was a floater key, yes.
Tell me where the floater key was and how it was used and where it was, okay?
The floater key generally could have been in the safe. It could have been with the person. Let me back up a little bit. The floater key was used for whomever would be there on a Saturday, or if somebody had called in and needed to open up the office, it would be used for them. And the floater key could be in many different places. It could be in the safe. It could be with whoever had worked that prior Saturday. It could be with Amanda, the operations manager. It's hard. It wasn't in a specific place, shall we say, at all times.
Was it ever kept in a desk drawer?
Yes.
How often do you know that it was kept in a desk drawer?
I would say it was often kept in a desk drawer.
And who would have had access to that desk drawer?
Anybody that worked at that agency.
And how many people worked at that agency?
Offhand, I would say at least 7.
And so that key that was kept in a desk drawer worked on both the side door and the safe, correct?
Yes.
And if somebody came in the side door and they knew where the floater key was, they could get the floater key, correct?
Yes,
And open the safe.
yes.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Anything further, Attorney Garrity?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You can step down. Attorney Garrity, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor. Commonwealth would rest.
All right, let me see the parties over here for 1 minute.